There are sometimes issues with open adoption as regards to boundaries. You don't want to step on anyone's toes. You don't want to cross a boundary, and that's an easy thing to do if you don't know what that boundary is. And from the very first day that we met with our adoptive parents after Lindy decided she was going to place, he said, there isn't anything that we can't figure out as long as we communicate. And that's the key issue. If you want something, you let us know. You don't just assume, and we won't just assume that it's going to be a certain way. You have to be verbal about it and let us know what it is you would like. And so we always have been. We've always been open. And there were times I was afraid that we were maybe being too assertive, that we expected too much, and they assured us that that was not their case, that they did not feel that way, even though sometimes we felt like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that, or maybe we shouldn't have asked that, or maybe we shouldn't just drop in, or something like that, that. But they have always said, we will let you know if there's something that we don't agree with or that we're concerned about. We'll definitely say something to you. And we've always said, now you'll let us know if this is not what you want. Oh, you can bet that we will let you know. And we have never had a problem that I am aware of ever in our open adoption. And I believe it's because we always get on the phone. We always make a phone call first, or we always ask and just make sure that those things are okay. And and that's just common courtesy as well. So.
We one of the things I think it's important for us as second layer family members, because they're the first layer, is that we need to be respectful of what they want to do, how they want to run this whole thing. And so it's important because it's really their adoption, even though we're part of it as a family, but it was Starley's, it was my daughter's adoption to this family. So what she says, she sets the rules a little bit more than I set the rules. I don't want to skip and go in front of her and take over and I'm not exactly sure how I'm trying to say this, but maybe you can explain it more.
Well, I know that the adoptive couple is, they're very open, and they just say you can make stop-by visits, but there have been times that the adoptive mom, I feel like I'm probably closest with her than the other two birth moms. And she's told me, cases with the other families, it's getting a little tough. We have to see tons of families at Christmas, can we see you guys in January type thing. They just have to, it's kind of hard on their side because they do have to see so many different families. Even though they like to, but it
becomes overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming for them. And I just kind of from the beginning asked my parents, if you want to call them, if you want to stop by and I'm not with you, just maybe first off tell me so I know, but so we can communicate with them, or I can ask them if it's okay, or maybe the adoptive mom has talked to me and she's feeling a little overwhelmed. And I mean, one time what did happen, and my dad wanted to go up there and go take the girls to ice cream, and I'm like, no, maybe wait a couple weeks because she's a little stressed right now, and just it's a little overwhelming for them. But I agree that if you communicate about it, then you don't have hard feelings or kind of issues.
Sometimes things are easier for the adoptive parents, or I'm not saying for us as grandparents, it's easier for us, and we forget how hard it is still for them. So we've got to be careful and go their pace, their speed.
Yeah, I know at really at the beginning, my mom and dad called themselves grandma and grandpa. And especially my mom kept saying that, and I had issues because I'm like, Mom, you are not the grandma. You're not the grandma. I'm not the mom. I'm the birth mom, but I'm not the mom. So you're the birth grandma, but you're not the grandma. And the adoptive couple, you know, they're like, okay. And then their daughters all started calling my parents grandma and grandpa. And it was hard for me, but I'm like, okay, whatever. And I just I still don't love it because I'm not mom. So why are they grandma and grandpa? But I'm okay with it.
But it's hard for you.
But it's not, you know, my favorite thing. But I have had to tell, you know, I can't tell the girls, don't call them grandma and grandpa. They don't know any different. You know, that's what they like to do. But I have told my parents, sometimes don't refer to yourselves as grandma's coming to see you. You know, maybe say Tammy or something else. And that's just more my personal feelings because other birth moms may feel differently.
Well, we have to be careful too, as birth grandparents, not to take over the grandparents' positions.
Yeah.
So we're really
Right.
in second tier level there again. I mean, we're second tier as parents, we're second tier as grandparents, but I like being a tier. I like being part of that dynamic. And it doesn't matter where we're at as long as it's successful for these girls and for that adoptive family.
I never asked you if that bothered you.
Nope, it hasn't. And it kind of, like, I don't know, probably just because, you know, all the kids in the neighborhood call you and dad, grandma, grandpa.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, in the beginning, like, when I first told them I wanted to place with them until about 6 months to her 6 months appointment to where, you know, we had the court date and everything, the boys were calling me Aunt Lindy. And in my head, I'm like, that's not right. But it's not going to
Close.
bother me.
Close.
Because in their head, it's like Grandma and Grandpa Sandy, Uncle Tyler, Uncle Tad, you know? And it's like Aunt Lindy. And at first I was like, that doesn't go there. But then they've gotten to the point where it's like, you're the birth mom of our little sister. So you're not our aunt.
You have to work it out.
And,
But I look
they
at
do.
that-
They call her Lindy, but they still call me Grandma Sandy and Grandpa Ted.
Like, in my head, they're my nephews. They act just like my nephews.
Well, one thing I think that's coolness about open adoption is now that I am married, so 5 years later I'm married and I now have a little baby of my own. My birth daughters, her real grandpa, he calls him grandpa to my daughter. So there's obviously no adoption, no genetics, no nothing, but he just sees her as his granddaughter.
I love that about open adoption because in my heart we're all related anyway.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea of somebody else giving lots of love to my kids and my grandkids.
Yeah.